Okay, so moving on to removal. Um, I think a lot of these will be pretty obvious. I mean, most people who play Commander know the value of creatures with ETBs that can remove stuff. The beauty here is, with our commanders, Livio and Halana, we'll be really taking advantage of it. First off, the creature who is coming in to remove stuff, like, Reclamation Sage here, is coming in. It's going to blow up, destroy target artifact or creature. However, um, on the stack, you can use Halana's ability to pay 2, and then have that creature deal damage equal to its power to another creature. So you got Reclamation Sage coming in. If you have the mana, you pay the 5, whatever, ping something for 2, then blows up an artifact or enchantment. It's a pretty good deal. And then you exile Livio and repeat the process. Um, Reclamation Sage, pretty standard budget card for doing this. Manglehorn, better Reclamation Sage. Well, not really better because he can't destroy an enchantment, but he forces all your opponent's artifacts to come into play tapped. I love Manglehorn. So many people run Soul Ring and Arcane Signet, neither of which we're running in this deck, so we don't. It's great that he just come in and blow those things up. Then of course you got your Acidic Slime. It's artifact, enchantment, or land with Death Touch and Halana's ability. So now Acidic Slime I think is a must include. I think you have to, because the Acidic Slime is the one that's doing the damage. So the Death Touch is going to kill whatever you have it deal its damage to. So he's just money in the bank there. And then one of my personal favorites, Terastodon, old Planeswalker killer. I love that he's a 9/9. So pretty much anything if you have the mana to pay it, like I said before with Halana, he's pretty much just going to kill whatever he hits. So those are the artifact and enchantment, and I guess Planeswalker removal. Now, one thing I want to point out here is this is something a friend of mine, my friend Mark, turned me on to. It's this card. Liquid Metal Coating turns target permanent into an artifact. So let's say you got Liquid Metal Coating on the battlefield, and then Rex Age comes in, and you want to target, I don't know, your opponent's Edgar Markov. Now he's an artifact, so Rex Age can blow him up. And I think this is a fun little combo. I try to include Liquid Metal Coating in, number one, all my red decks. Since red decks can't get rid of enchantments, you could turn the enchantment into an artifact and then nuke it with Shatter, Shatterstorm, all the Vandal Blast, all the fun red artifact removal cards. But because white and green have so much artifact removal, I think it's worth considering to put into a white and green deck, just because you destroy so many artifacts. So that's a little combo that we play with in our play group. Second type of removal here is obviously creature removal. So you got guys like Fiend Hunter and Banisher Priest. They got the ETB, they exile another creature, and then until they leave. So, you bring them in early, exile something you don't like, flicker them with Livio, the creature's going to come back, but when you bring the Banisher Priest or the Fiend Hunter back, you can pick a new target. So maybe you didn't like your opponent's Mana Dork at the start of the game, but now they got something that's a real threat, so you really need to get rid of it. Not too bad cards. Even better than those guys, though, I think, are these ones. Kogla and Thorn Mammoth, two of my favorite, most recent cards, and they're very budget friendly. Thorn Mammoth you can get repeated uses of by constantly, bringing creatures into the battlefield. Kogla, he can protect both your commanders because he's returned to human and he gains indestructible. And well, look at that, Livio and Halana are both humans, so Kogla I think is an absolute must include in this deck. He'll definitely be in here. Just to protect both of my commanders, also blow something up, and then when he attacks, he also blows up enchantments and artifacts. So he also combos with Liquid Metal Coating. So Kogla's just amazing. He's just a cool card, great artwork. I love the fact that he's King Kong. I can't say enough good things about him. And then a little bit more expensive card, but if you got it, you can play it. He's Trapjaw Tyrant. I know he doesn't have an ETB effect, but I do think the fact that he's you could just do damage to him somehow and get a lot of value of exiling creatures to lose the battlefield. And so he, just a thought. I probably won't include him. I don't think this deck has a lot of things that could trigger the enrage effect, but I still think he's a cool card. Some more enchantment removal. You got Enlightened Ascetic and War Priest of Thune, both destroy enchantments. I don't know, I've noticed that just from playing Magic the Gathering online, players love to have a board state that is enchantment dependent because most people only run like one or two single target enchantment removal, and maybe up to two mass enchantment removal. So being able to flicker these guys to really deal with like doubling seasons and you know was it Phyrexian Reclamation, like cards that just are incredibly annoying and pain in the ass to deal with. I think these guys are both great. They're 2-drops too. So this is like a little bit of a weird category I have for removal. The Marsh Drinker Giant, he's kind of a silly card, but he's a 4/3. When he enters the battlefield, he destroys target island or swamp. That's so bizarre in a green card. But the fact that he is a creature, blue and black are played very commonly. So you can utilize his Halana fight mechanic with him. And it's just something funny about blowing up islands. People who counter spells. Death Gorder Scavenger. So he is removal, but in the fact that he's going to be targeting a card in a graveyard. I know white has some graveyard removal or just abilities to stop it. Green, I don't think has a lot. So I think Death Gorder Scavenger, he fits this deck kind of neat in that he's very utility. Comes into play, target a card in the graveyard, exile it. You can either gain life, which could come handy late game, and or you can give him a +1/+1 counter, and then still get Halana's fight trigger. Also, flying is a thing, so I picked out 2 budget flying cards that fight or destroy flying creatures. Harpooner, you can, for 4 mana, you can double up your power with him. So you can come into play, pay Halana's ability, he can, essentially fight the thing by dealing its power and damage. And then if that's not enough to kill it, then he can actually fight it with his Undergrowth ability. And then the Stringer Fling Spider, 5 mana, 2/5 with reach, destroy target creature with flying. So, and I included this other creature just because I think it's kind of neat. I couldn't find my Sunblast Angel. That was one I also wanted to include. I don't know where it's at, but I did find the Ivory Giant, who's kind of a similar concept. Sunblast Angel destroys all tapped creatures, and then whenever he comes into play, you tap down all non-white creatures. And he's got the suspend mechanic, so you can get him, in suspension, and then bring him in. Comes in as 3/4, maybe flicker him, maybe make him fight with Halana. I don't know. I think he's kind of a neat budget card. He's expensive. 7 mana for a 3/4 is not really game friendly, but late game, we can tap down all your opponent's creatures and swing for the fences with our win cons. So, that being said, sometimes people run cards that shut down ETBs. So I did include a couple of other like spell board wipes. I'm going to be playing these 3 as the main board wipes. I think these 3 are they're budget friendly. They're cool. Slash the ranks. Destroy all creatures and planeswalkers except for commanders. Don't want to be casting our commanders, over and over again. So I thought that was kind of cool. And hostilities. Destroy all creatures and all permanents attached to creatures. So it's a nice little way to get rid of equipment. And Slaughter the Strong, I liked because it was each player chooses any number of creatures they control with total power 4 or less, then sacrifices all the other creatures they control. Since we have a lot of like small power creatures, I thought that would be a suitable, removal spell. And then I like these 2 as well. Planar Cleansing, just to get rid of the board when it gets out of control. and Ondu Inversion because it can be played as a land and it destroys all non-land permanents. Now I know they're expensive, but we are in green, so I don't think that'll be a problem. Uh, Other cards I thought about including was a Fragmentize. It's like the one mana removal spell, and then there's that I don't know that green one that's 1 mana destroy an artifact and they gain life. And then you can go the path to exiles and the Swords of Plowshares, but I just feel like that's so predictable. I think trying to really synergize with the commanders I think is more fun, but I do understand that sometimes you need removal that is not enter the battlefield, since that is at sorcery speed. Um, so I'm going to stop the video now. We're going to come back and do win conditions and value.